And those freezing temps will likely turn whatever rain is left on the roads into ice. This is what Old Town looked like yesterday. Last-minute shoppers forced to deal with the rain and strong winds. Today, get ready to battle the winds once again.
Yeah, it wasn't just rain, though. We saw some snow, too, in some areas. This is what it looked like yesterday, making for a great day for skiers in Taos. More snow is expected to arrive there today, too.
But our blast of winter weather is mild compared to our neighbors to the north. Residents in Colorado are dealing with snow and ice. Monday's winter blast turned highways into sheets of ice, catching a few drivers off guard. Colorado's Department of Transportation is reporting dozens of crashes metro-wide. It deployed up to 50 snowplows in and around the area in round-the-clock shifts.
Of road conditions in New Mexico, it is still a tough drive in some parts of the state, even in the early morning hours today. Some of the major highways are iced over, especially in the north and northeast. You want to watch for areas around Taos, including Las Vegas, Springer, even north of the Albuquerque metro area. There are some tricky roads. The website, New Mexico Roads website, shows several difficult areas to be aware of, especially if you're traveling for the holiday. We're going to continue following the very tough weather slamming the state and the region. For the very latest on this storm, go to KRQE.com. Also, if you've got weather pictures or video to share, send them to us. Report it at KRQE.com. It's a good resource for you.
It's now 6:03 this morning. APD is looking for a man who may be preying upon women on a popular walking trail. This after one woman was sexually assaulted there. Take a good look at this sketch. This is the man police want to talk to. They say he may be a student who goes by the name of Craig and is between the ages of 18 and 20. The reported attack happened around 5 Sunday evening in the Bear Canyon Arroyo at Montebo near Spain. The man was wearing a brown jacket, black pants with white stripes down the side, and black gloves. Police won't say if the man was armed. APD says further details about the attack won't be released because of its sensitive nature.
Meantime, we're staying on top of the investigation into the shooting deaths of 2 New York City police officers. Protests are expected to continue in New York and across the country today. But New York City Mayor Bill de Blasio called on protesters to put demonstrations and political debates on hold until the 2 officers killed over the weekend are buried. Investigators say officers Wenjun Liu and Rafael Ramos were shot to death by a mentally disturbed man. They say that was in retaliation for the deaths of Michael Brown and Eric Garner, unarmed black men killed by white officers. Police departments across the country are on alert this morning because of the officers' deaths, including police in our state. New York police are responding to every call with 2 cars and not making arrests unless absolutely necessary. But while they will remain vigilant, the Albuquerque Police Department says it is not changing how officers operate.
We're not forcing officers to ride 2 men into a unit. We're not pulling our police service aides off of patrol. We're pretty much acting business as normal here in Albuquerque.
In Santa Fe, police sergeants there say they're discussing the New York incident with their officers as well and reminding them to stay aware too.
A judge says the man accused of killing a Florida police officer probably felt like a caged rat when he saw the officer. Investigators say Marco Faria Jr. shot Officer Charlie Condick on Sunday. Condick was originally answering a noise disturbance at an apartment complex. Faria became scared and didn't want to go back to jail, so he allegedly shot and ran over Condick. Yesterday, a judge charged Faria with first-degree murder. Police have already said the killing had nothing to do with what happened in New York. Time now 6:05. Another black mark on New Mexico after it comes in as one of the worst states for animal protection laws.
Right, you might be surprised to find out one of the reasons why. News 13's Catherine Mazzone spoke with animal groups here who say New Mexico has a long way to go. She's live in the Newsplex this early hour with more.
That's right, Adam. New Mexico is the 5th worst state when it comes to protecting animals. The reason? Our laws are too lax. And in some cases, there isn't a law in place at all. Groups here say they're not surprised to hear our ranking.
I might get a call from a friend who says there's a puppy mill in Chama or Clovis or Roswell, and there's absolutely no legislation that will help anybody do anything about that.
Peggy Weigel, Executive Director of Animal Humane New Mexico, agrees with the Animal League Defense Fund's rankings. Weigel says the state's biggest problem, pet overpopulation, which she says is caused by dangerous puppy mills. The national report points out a number of areas New Mexico falls short. Here are the facts of that report. It states the laws against organized animal fights aren't good enough, adding felonies only apply to cruelty and fighting certain animals. It also states you can't get a felony for abandonment. And the report also says one of the weakest it's not a crime here to sexually assault an animal.
We need to have more of us having conversations with our legislators. Right
now, the report says New Mexico does some things right. It's increased penalties for animal hoarders, even forcing people to turn over abused animals. So after this report, what's next? Coming up in our next half hour, we take a look at what steps animal advocacy groups say New Mexico should take to get going in the right direction. Back to you.
Catherine, thank you. That report also states there are no laws requiring police officers to enforce animal protection laws, and humane officers don't have a lot of authority. You can read that full report online at KRQE.com. Just find it under the KRQE links now.
It's one of the state's most dangerous highways that goes right through much of New Mexico. After last week's head-on crash, we wanted to know what the state was doing for safety measures. That road is Highway 550, which stretches about 138 miles from Bernalillo to Bloomfield, connecting Albuquerque to northwestern New Mexico. Last week, 2 people were killed in a head-on crash, one of just many crashes along that road. In 2012, then Senator Linda Lovejoy introduced a memorial asking the State Department of Transportation to conduct a study on what it would take to add a center guardrail. That study is finished, and we've learned it won't be happening anytime soon.
The width of the median is only 6 feet across, and you have to have a median of at least 28 feet across.
That's a DOT spokesperson. She says there's not enough space for the rails. They also noted that the project is just too expensive and could cost millions. NMDOT says they've expanded the roads, which they say has decreased the number of crashes there.
Storms that passed through New Mexico developed. You helped to tell the weather story. Our crews captured the downpours in the metro area yesterday. This is video taken near downtown Albuquerque. And a good-sized tree taken down by a huge gust in Rio Rancho. Viewer Eric Matty snapped these photos near Northern and Highway 528. You could see it was ripped up right from the roots. Wind and rain to snow. Pete Callahan tells us it quickly switched to whiteout conditions shortly after taking this picture outside his home in Mosquero, New Mexico. It also started to stack up in Wagon Mound, and skiers took advantage of the fresh powder in Taos.
And speaking of skiers, there's a lot of snow out there. The video is from Taos Ski Valley yesterday. You can see it's snowing up north already, and the wind wasn't helping. Still didn't stop skiers from taking advantage of the new snow on those slopes there. And if you're hitting the road today, it could be a tough drive in some parts of the state. The state's transportation website is showing several roads near Taos, Las Vegas, Santa Fe, and out east near Santa Rosa are still marked as difficult driving conditions there.
We're staying on top of your drive this week, helping you with the information that you need to get your holiday destination safely. For the latest on this storm, go to KRQE.com. And if you have weather pictures or video to share with us of the storms or anything beautiful around this time of the year, send it to report@KRQE.com.
Time now 6:32. This morning, the man accidentally shot by an Albuquerque police officer's home finally released from the hospital. He spoke with News 13. 46-year-old Ramiro Armendariz says it will be a tough road to recovery, but is happy to be home before Christmas. He's still in a lot of pain, though, and has trouble standing for long periods.
Ya no aguanto mucho parado, pues tengo que estar sentado, no aguanto mucho sentado y pues como no.
I feel good because he come to the house, but I feel sad for him because he can walk, he can do anything.
Armendariz was shot by a stray bullet last week after APD officer Tomas Nadas accidentally fired his gun in an apartment above him. The officer said he stumbled while climbing through a window looking for a burglar. Armendariz doesn't say he's mad at the officer, only that he's worried about taking care of his family now that he cannot work. The state is throwing a wrench in the Albuquerque mayor's plans to keep the officer shortage at APD from getting worse. Now it's led to a battle in court today. The Public Employees Retirement Association, or PARA, says the mayor's $12,000 bonus for officers who stay on the force instead of retiring won't be used when it calculates an officer's pension. The state pension agency says it cannot pay it, and it's against the rules and would add an estimated $6 million liability to the already maxed out pension fund. But the city insists it should be counted, arguing a bigger pension is a key incentive in the city's plan.
Pension reform and solvency is really important, but so is public safety for our families.
So now the city and the police union are teaming up to take PARA to court, asking a judge to force PARA to pay up. They have an emergency hearing in district court later today.
Time at 6:34. The city is setting up a new website to help APD engage more with the community. It's called talkwithacop.com. The mayor says the goal is not only to put in place policy and procedural reforms within the police department, but also to start a dialogue with the community. It's another way for residents to get in touch with city leaders, they say, about their questions and concerns.
Comments that are left will actually be answered by rank and file police officers, people out in our community who are serving us on a day-to-day basis.
You can also find a list of community meetings that the city is holding on the website. We've posted a link to it at KRQE.com. We have learned that the man convicted of killing 2 young girls in a drunk driving crash in northern New Mexico will serve less than a year behind bars in prison. A judge sentenced Wayne Lovato as an adult in the deaths of 14-year-old Kayla Martinez and 12-year-old Alejandra Sanchez in April of 2013. Lovato was 17 when he rolled his car on I-25 just south of Las Vegas, killing those girls and injuring 6 other passengers. The state wanted him in prison for 9 years, but instead the judge gave him 364 days behind bars, plus a year on an ankle monitor and 5 years of probation. A new year coming and a new leader for New Mexico's Troubled Children, Youth and Families Department. Governor Susana Martinez has picked Tourism Secretary Monique Jacobson to take over as the head of CYFD. Jacobson has built a career on marketing and advertising, but CYFD will be her first venture into social work. The governor's decision does have some lawmakers divided.
They need to have a core experience in the core competency of the department that they're leading, and Ms. Jacobson does not.
Secretary Jacobson, in my workings with her, has proven herself to be a strong leader.
Jacobson herself admits she has a lot to learn and says that her plan is to listen. CYFD came under increased fire in the past year over its handling of the Omari Varela case. That boy was kicked to death by his mother just after last Christmas, after the family had been on CYFD's radar.
A lot of eyes will be watching Jacobson
Sure
in the
will.
next few months and years.
We'll talk about a harsh report. 48th. That's where New Mexico is ranking when it comes to protecting our animals, according to a recent study.
So how did we end up there? The report states we lack laws against animal cruelty and even abuse like sexual assault. News 13's Catherine Mazzone spoke with animal rights groups who say they're not surprised to hear the numbers. Good morning, Catherine.
Good morning, Crystal. You're absolutely right. Animal advocacy groups say it's no secret New Mexico needs stricter laws when it comes to protecting animals. But they say there's been headway and they have ideas on how to make even more progress. Animal Humane New Mexico Executive Director Peggy Weigel says the state made great strides when it comes to protecting pets. Just 2 years ago, we passed a law to make extreme animal cruelty a 4th-degree felony. But what about all of the other cruelty cases that don't fall under that category? Weigel says with no laws on the books, there's little that can be done. It's why she wants to reinstate an old group that fizzled out several years ago. It's a federation made up of animal shelters, a common voice that represents 40 to 50 shelter directors who can speak to the issues and inform lawmakers.
If we can get the federation going, we'll be lobbying for better laws and we'll be lobbying for more money for spay-neuter. If we can do those 2 things, then the state of New Mexico will have a much better reputation and our animals will be suffering less.
Now, animal groups say New Mexico also lags when it comes to passing laws. In fact, it took 15 years to get laws on the books for cockfighting. To read the full report, go to KRQE.com and look under KRQE links. Back to you, Crystal.
All right, thanks for the information, Catherine. We also spoke with Animal Protection of New Mexico about their ongoing efforts. They say efforts like a program to help companion animals abused in domestic violence situations and programs to educate adults and children is ongoing. Plus, they say they expect Senator Moore to introduce a bill doing away with coyote killing contests. That was very controversial here in the state. A lot of people against it. Those that did host it, though, say that it helped the population with coyotes. See how that turns out.
Eyes are going to be on that. When we